Tuesday. Welcome to day 2 of our 5-day challenge. I hope everyone had a great day yesterday and got a chance to dive into your homework. I'm going to share my PowerPoint with you. We're going to jump right in. All right, so what I'm going to say for today is when you have questions, go ahead and do it. If you can find the Q&A tab in there, go ahead and put your question in the Q&A tab. When we're all done, I will check the Q&A tab first, and then I will check the chat to see if there's anything. But I prefer you put it in the Q&A just so I can go and find your questions and get you guys taken care of. All right, so yesterday we did market research, right? And your homework was to look at 3 markets, pick 3 major markets, and go do the research on population and see if you have an incline. If so, then to look at the employment trends and make sure that you're having a positive employment trend, meaning a declining unemployment trend over the past years. Okay, so hopefully you've done that. If not, go ahead and just squeeze it in today. The more you can do, the better it's going to be to keep your momentum going. Today's class is going to be a little bit on the shorter side. Yesterday was a little bit longer because there was more to show you. Today I'm going to teach you about building your team, building your power team. So when you're getting into multifamily investing, or really any kind of investing, you have to have a team in place. So we're going to be talking about that today, and then I'm going to give you a little bit of homework, and the homework is going to be around just starting to build a couple of those power team members, and then we'll dig a little bit more into that tomorrow. All right. Okay, so let me just get them all on here, and then we'll just talk. Okay, so these are some of the key members of the team that you're going to be building. Now I say brokers can also be realtors. And it's funny because in some markets, the word broker doesn't really differentiate. In a lot of markets, broker means like the head person, someone who maybe owns the company or has realtors beneath them that they manage. But in some markets, you have to be a broker. There's no such thing as just a realtor. They are a broker. So I tell you that just so that you're aware as you're calling and talking to people in different markets. The word broker isn't necessarily synonymous with the one who's like running the show. But in a lot of markets, it is. It's someone who has more experience and more credentials. Frankly, they have more time under their belt. They've passed more tests and they have a higher level of certification within the real estate world. So anyway, what we focus on when we're looking at multifamily real estate is we focus on brokers or realtors that are specializing in multifamily. It doesn't mean that they have to be. It doesn't mean that if it's somebody who does residential but they get a lead on a multifamily that we can't use them. It's just that they're not going to be the ones that get a lot of deals in because it's just not their area of focus. So ideally, you're going to start building your team of brokers that are already in the commercial real estate space. When I say commercial, I mean right now multifamily. Okay, so brokers is a really key one. Tomorrow we're going to be getting into lead generation. And so when I go into lead generation, we're going to talk more about like, where do you find these brokers and what does that conversation even sound like? What should you be asking for? Okay, so that we can start getting some lead generation in. And then on Thursday, I'm going to teach you, or day 4, I'm going to teach you how to do some deal analysis. All right, so the next thing you want to have on your team, depending on what kind of project you're looking to do, if you're looking to do a value add project, or if you're looking to take, let's say a small apartment building, 4 units, 6 units, 8 units, and completely do a renovation on it or update the unit so that you can get increased rent, you're going to need to have a contractor. So Jennifer and I always use licensed and experienced general contractors. And the reason we do that, and we don't hire people who aren't licensed, is one of the things that is a risk in our business, is an inherent risk, is what if the contractor just disappears or takes off with your money or doesn't do a good job? What recourse do you have? If that's a contractor in the market and he's licensed and he depends on his license, I say he or she depend on their license in order to continue to get business, and they do something that is unscrupulous or lacks integrity, you're going to report them, and ultimately you're going to go after their license so that they don't have a license in the future. So when someone already has a license and that's how they operate their business, they have something to lose if they screw you over, right? So not that it can't ever happen, but you're decreasing the chance of finding someone who really doesn't have anything to lose because they do have something to lose. Okay, so when I say contractors, I do mean like licensed general contractors who can handle really any level of renovation. And unless you're the type of investor that just wants to come in and buy something that's just already performing, then you don't really need to worry about contractors. But if you like to go into an opportunity to really increase the value, create forced appreciation, Contractors are going to be an absolute part of your team, a really important part of our team. All right, another one is going to be home inspectors. So with home inspectors, we're looking for someone that has a lot of experience. So ideally, you're going to find someone who has the level of experience that matches, or the type of experience that matches the type of property you're buying. So if you're buying, again, 2 to 4 units, then work with someone that's worked in the residential area. If you're buying a 30-unit apartment building or a 50-unit apartment building, you want someone who's done that kind of inspection, because that kind of inspection is going to be different than the kind of inspection you're going to get on your single-family house. Right? When you're getting a single-family home or a duplex, something small, you're getting like a complete full home inspection. When you're getting an inspection on a building, it's different. You're going to do some spot checking. You're definitely checking all like the major mechanicals, the foundation, structural, and some of the other review that you would do like on a per unit basis when it's a small building where you do everything, you're going to do on a more limited basis on a larger building. Or you might have members of your team or contractors going in and helping, not necessarily a single home inspector. All right, so ideally, depending on what your goals are and what you're shooting for, you want to find a home inspector who fits that. Now, there is a home inspection certification that if you can find a home inspector in the area that has it, it's kind of ideal. It's called ASHI, ASHI, American Society of Home Inspectors. And I want to say, I think that their website is homeinspectors.org, something like that. You could Google ASHI certified home inspectors. ASHI certified home inspectors have the highest level of certification. It takes the most testing you get through. So I like to have an ASHI certified home inspector because, at least in theory, they have worked more to know more and to have that highest level of certification. But what's even more important to me than that is how much experience do they have? And frankly, even before their experience as a home inspector, what was their experience just in industry before being a home inspector? So, for example, we have a mastermind. We have a group within the Facebook community that we have here that is part of a mastermind. And so we get together every week and we meet. And so next week we have a ASHI certified home inspector coming in to be like a guest speaker in our mastermind. When I first interviewed him, now, gosh, probably 3 or 4 years ago, and he's been like our main home inspector in that particular market. I mean, we've probably paid him $10,000 because we've done so many deals and had him involved in doing so much review with us. But the reason he's gotten all that business is because when I interviewed him, not only was he certified, ASHI certified, his background before being a home inspector, which he's been for a long time now, he was a licensed general contractor for 30 years. So to me, that's even more important or more valuable than the ASHI certification. That's just a nice bonus. Because what that tells me is he can walk into any property. If you've been in construction for 30 years and you've been the GC and you've been running jobs, you've probably seen just about everything. And that creates an intangible that you can't measure. Just think about what it is that you do for a living. Like, what do you do that you know better than like literally anything? Anyone can ask you any question about it and you're like, got an answer. Like, you just know your stuff inside and out. There's certain things that you couldn't even explain to someone why you know. It feels like a gut feeling or an intuition, but it's because of all the layers of years of experience on it. You just catch things much faster. You'll see when something's not right, even if it's not obvious to someone else. And that's the kind of home inspector that we always want to have. That's our preference because they're just more likely to catch things that could get missed. All right, so it's really important that you interview the home inspector and just find out, like, not only how long have they been inspecting, how many inspections have they done, what did they do before that, right? And you just, ideally, there's something in construction. And I'll give you like the other side of it. I was doing a one-on-one training with a student once, and we were sitting down at their desk at their house. Actually, it was their dining room table, but we made it into a desk. And we were calling home inspectors and interviewing them. And the one home inspector we were talking to, I want to say it was in Houston, when we asked the question, well, what was your background prior to being a home inspector? Because I think he'd been a home inspector for maybe 2 years, which isn't very long to me, but he's like, oh yeah, I was a math teacher. Like, oh, that's great. Nothing wrong with that. And I'm all for the small business. I truly am. But when it comes to making a decision about an asset I'm purchasing for any kind of long-term wealth building, or even if I'm doing a fix and flip, I'm not going to do small business building then, because I'm not going to take the risk that I don't get the experience of someone who's going to catch something that can end up costing me a lot of money. And the benefit is when you have a really good home inspector, that really can help you make a better purchase. Not only do you know what you're getting into, if the home inspector finds something that you didn't know about, now you have leverage to go back to the seller and retrade or ask for a price reduction. Okay, so that's some of the benefits of having a home inspection. It really goes deep. Another one on your team is going to be your lenders. So depending on what kind of project that you're doing or what kind of property you're buying. So if you're in the, let's call it 2 to 4 family space, the lenders that you're using are going to vary between a hard money lender and like a conventional lender. And here's where the difference is. If you're buying a property that's a fixer-upper and you're going to do the BRRR strategy, then you can basically get a hard money loan for the renovation so that you can get the renovation going, finish it up, get it rent ready, get tenants put in there, and then you would refinance it into a regular conventional mortgage. If you're buying something that's just already existing, it already has cash flow, you would skip the hard money lender, go right to the conventional lender. All right. If you're going into multifamily that's 5+ units, some conventional banks can do that, but where you're going to be focusing is more in commercial lending or commercial banks, or sometimes even just local community banks. If it's a bank that's local to where the property is in the market, that's a good place to start. Okay, so you're going to focus on lenders based on what your goal is. In the 1 to 4 family, it's going to be just, regular bank, conventional lender. Local lenders are fine too. You could even go to like a credit union in that local market. And you can go to a mortgage broker. Frankly, you can go to a mortgage broker for any of this. If you're doing apartment buildings and you're doing, you're going to get a 30-unit apartment building, you can call commercial banks. You can also call a commercial mortgage broker. And we have a couple of those on our team so that if we have a deal and we're not kind of finding the exact lending we want through the banking contacts we have, we'll go to our mortgage broker and see what they can do. And sometimes they can find a better deal just because they have all the contacts and they have the volume and they have the relationships. Okay, so that's also an option, mortgage brokers. The main difference with mortgage brokers and why sometimes it's not the ideal situation is that it can sometimes cost you a little bit more, because not only are you paying the bank's fees and points and everything else, you're also paying the mortgage brokers extra amount. On the other hand, sometimes the mortgage broker can get you a better rate and a better deal than you would have got otherwise. So it's always good to have multiple players on your team. So as far as lenders, having a couple of mortgage brokers, a couple of actual lenders, and if you're doing any kind of like BRRRR strategy where you're going to fix it up and then rent it and refinance it, hard money lenders are also an option. A lot of hard money lenders will also do 5+ units, but not all of them. Where like pretty much all hard money lenders will do 1 to 4 family. Many of them will do 5+, but not as many. So you just have to call around a little bit more. All right, next on the list is property managers. Now, everybody is important, of course, on your team, but when it comes to this type of real estate, property management it literally could not be any more important. It is the difference between you having a business that runs successfully or a building that runs successfully and it completely failing. So it is absolutely key critical that you're not just like, oh, okay, I found one, cool, we're good. You have to interview them. You need to find out, first of all, what type of properties do they even focus on? Because if you're buying a 30-unit building and this property manager has always done 2 to 4 family or 1 to 4 family, that's probably not the right one. You need somebody who focuses on apartment complexes. On the other side, if you're buying, a triplex, it's 3 units, you don't want to go to a property management company that just focuses on 20+ units because their systems and everything are just different. So you want to find a property manager who specializes in managing the type of property that you are interested in buying. Okay. You want to find out like, what are the services they provide? What do they charge? Do they have leasing fees? So if you have a vacant unit and they're going to lease it, what do they charge for that? Are they charging their property management fee as a percentage of collected rents or scheduled rents? Because that could make a difference. Let's say you have a couple of vacant units. If your property management fees are based on scheduled rents, you're still paying property management even if you have no income coming in from those units. So those are the types of things that make a difference. So you want to, this is something that you don't want to just say, I'm going to call a couple and I'm good. I found one, I think they're fine. Call around. And when you find that your top 2 or 3 that you think, okay, any of these would work, I think, then go deeper and go talk to some of the people they already manage properties for. Ask for references and be willing to fire quickly. If they're not doing the job, if what they're sending you doesn't feel like, something doesn't seem right, move on to the next property manager as quickly as possible, because that is an area where you can lose a lot of money. Review your reports every month. So every month you're going to get a report from your manager that shows the income, the rents, the expenses. and question everything, especially for the first 3 or 4 months, because when they know that you're actually looking and asking questions, it decreases the chance of them just charging things to put their people to work. I'm not saying that it happens all the time, but it is a possibility. So everything that I teach you when you're in our program, even doing this free 5-day challenge or taking any of our master classes, I'm always going to teach you the best way to mitigate risk as much as possible so that you can have as much success as possible. This business is challenging. It's not without frustrations and challenges, and you got to be creative, and really you have to have a lot of stick-to-itness, because sometimes you just be like, forget it, this is crazy. But what's the alternative? Like, what's your alternative? You're going to rely on Social Security and your 401k? We just recent events would indicate it's not the best idea, right? So you want to make sure that you're taking things into your own hands and building your own wealth and your own assets, both for now and for long term. Well, sometimes your long-term baby gets colicky and requires a lot of attention, and sometimes that's frustrating. So you just have to remember your purpose is for the big picture, the long term, so that you can take care of yourself and your family and build a legacy. All right, next on your team is going to be insurance agents. So insurance agents, once again, it's going to depend on the type of property you're buying. There is an insurance company that I want to say it's national. I haven't heard of any place that they don't insure, but it's called NREIG. And I want to say it stands for National Real Estate Insurance Group. So NREIG.com or .org. And they do both builder's risk, which is a type of insurance you would get if you're doing the BRRRR strategy and it's vacant and you're doing renovation. And they also have landlord policies. So as far as, but if you're looking for a commercial policy, you're going to Google commercial insurance agents and look for someone that specializes in doing that, because it's not like you're going to know what kind of insurance you need to get. You're not going to know all the ins and outs. You need someone who can advise you. So if you're going to your regular insurance agent who does your homeowner's insurance and your car insurance, and you're like, yeah, I want to get insurance on this, 18-unit building I'm buying, are they really going to be able to advise you as to the pros and cons of all the different extras that you can get and the riders, and should you have loss of rents? You really need somebody who specializes in that area. So you want to find someone local in that market, specializes in that product, so that they can advise you along the way. You're going to learn so much on your first deal. And frankly, you're going to learn a lot on every single deal. You want to use people who specialize in that. And then last is title companies. Now, the thing about title companies is you're really nothing to build. So sometimes my students will ask, well, how do I know how to interview them? You're not going to interview the title company most of the time, unless you're doing some kind of really creative transaction. You might interview them to make sure that they have the ability to do it. But if it's just a regular purchase or refinance transaction, title companies are kind of a commodity when it comes down to it. Unless you've done multiple deals in an area and you have like a relationship with them, and they're going to prioritize you and give you a discount, things like that, then it matters. Other than that, whatever. So it might happen. It depends on where you're doing business. In some areas, I don't even want to say states, sometimes it's market by market. In some markets, it's customary for the buyer to choose the title company. In other markets, it's customary for the seller to choose the title company. And in some markets, it's not even called title company, it's called attorney. So if you're working in an area, this tends to be a lot on the East Coast. Like I know Atlanta, or like in Georgia, they use title attorneys. A lot of places on the East Coast do. In some areas, use a title company and a title attorney. So just know, as you're navigating through your first deal, ask a lot of questions so that you know. When I say title company, what I'm really referring to is closing agent. Whether that's the attorney, title company, whoever, it's your closing agent. If it's customary for the buyer, which is you in this case, to choose the title company, your real estate agent is going to ask, well, who do you want to use? If you're new to the market and you don't have a title company set up, what I always tell my agent is, go ahead and just pick someone that you have a relationship with, so that if we need something to get pushed through or get done quickly, you can make a call, and based on your history and relationship with them, we can get something done. But other than that, it doesn't really matter. And if you're in a market where the seller chooses the title company, it will be in the contract. So when you go to write the offer, the name of the title company will typically already be in the contract, because it will be in the real estate agent's notes who listed the property. So when your agent's writing up the contract, they'll say who the title company is, and they'll just include it. Okay, so title company is not really anything that you need to worry yourself with, but I did want you to be aware, because they are part of your team. It's just not one we spend a lot of time like choosing or interviewing. All right, so like I said, today is going to be not a ton of stuff, just to start laying that foundation. Here's what I want you to do for your homework. I want you to find 3 of the following people. I want you to find 3 property inspectors. So I want you to look for property inspectors that make sense for the type of real estate you're looking into. Are you in the 1 to 4 family space? Look for property inspectors that are residential. That's what they're called, residential. Are you in the apartment space looking for, 15, 30, 50 units? Then go look for property inspectors who are going to make sense for that level of property. Okay, so that's one. The next thing I want you to do is I want you to start finding lenders. Now I wrote commercial lenders here, but that is really only going to apply if you're looking at 5 or more units. So if you're taking this challenge and you're in the 2 to 4 units, building it that way, then just go with conventional lenders. And if you know that you're going to do the BRRRR strategy, go with hard money lenders and conventional lenders. If you're in the 5+ units, I want you to find 3 commercial lenders. So it doesn't mean you have to interview them. If you can get on the phone, that'd be awesome. That'd be ideal. It's just better for you. But at a minimum, what I want you to do is just get online and start Googling and find contact information. Create a spreadsheet. I want you to record the company name, their phone number, and their website, whatever information you can find that's helpful, put it in a spreadsheet so you can stay organized. Okay, and then the third one is the property managers. Okay, so find 3 of each of those, put them in a spreadsheet. If you have time, also make a call. Even if you can only call 1 of each, that's fine. But each time you make a call, you're going to start getting more and more confident about what the answers are, what's typical, what are they going to say. They don't typically ask you a lot of questions. They might just kind of ask, well, what are you looking for? It's fine for you to say, I'm new in the market, but this is kind of what I have in mind. When it comes to talking to brokers, that's a whole different game. And we're going to talk about that tomorrow, because with that one, I have to train you a little bit more so that you don't sound so new. But with everyone else, they don't really care if you're new. And frankly, the property managers don't, the inspectors don't, the commercial lenders or your hard money lender, your conventional lender, they might, but you have to just be straight with them, because they're going to make their loan terms based on your experience if that's one of their things. So I could teach you all day long to sound like a 15-year veteran, but if you've never done a deal before, the pricing that you get or the amount of loan that you get will be based on your actual experience. So don't stress about whether you sound experienced or not with these. Your main goal is just get some practice, like get 3 contacts, start making some calls, get some practice, and then you'll be continue to move forward just in little baby steps to get some confidence and get ready for the next step. All right, and that's all for today. It's kind of an easy one. Do we have any questions? I don't see anything in the Q&A today so far. I didn't mean to take my thing off the screen there. Okay, that's better. Not just me in the corner. All right, no questions for today? Everyone good? So here's what I'm going to do is when we're done with the call, I'm going to go ahead and save it. I'm going to put it in the unit section. So if you want to go back and review it, oh, I see one chat. If you want to go back and review it, you can do that. It will be there. And I will also post a picture of what the homework is to remind you. Come into the group, talk about like what you did. If you haven't had a chance to do the market research yet, but you do some today, go ahead and go back to that one and fill in what you did and just report back and let us celebrate with you. All right. And Alfred says, oh, Alfred, does that mean Freddie? It's Alfred Diaz. Freddie Diaz, the same person. Say, do we find them in the markets we researched or local markets? Oh, the markets that you researched. Because what the purpose of this challenge is to help you start laying the foundation to like get momentum there. So it is for practice, but it is not only for practice. So if you've done some market research and you're like, I kind of like this market, look for Power Team members there. All right, and let's see, Sean, it looks like you raised your hand, but I think I need you to type your question here because I don't know how to get you on the screen. But I see your hand raised. And Sean, I did see that you put your homework because I responded to it, so that was awesome. Thank you for doing that. If you have a question, go ahead and get it typed into the chat so I can get it answered for you. There we go. Okay, homework, all in one market or one in each. Here's what I would suggest. Of the homework that you did, pick one market that you feel like you're maybe leaning towards and go 3 deep in that market. Because no matter what, you're always going to need to have multiple Power Team members in a market. So I don't really want you to have 3 markets and call 1 in each. I'd rather you pick 1 market and call 3 in each, or 3 in that market, and just start getting momentum. And then those other 2 markets that you found can be like your number 2 and number 3, because we're going to start going into lead generation tomorrow. And if you can get leads coming in this market, you're probably just going to start focusing in that market. But let's say you go to get lead generation and you've been trying and nothing's really happening. One of the things I say sometimes is sometimes the market picks you. Like you think you're picking the market, but sometimes the market picks you, and certain markets, like it just for some reason, they're just not popping. So cool, I don't mean give up on it, but go ahead and jump to market number 2 and start building some power teams to get some lead generation going. And if all of a sudden you're getting stuff, you're like, okay, I guess this is going to be the market I focus on. That's always been my approach and the ones I've taught my students, and that's really created a lot of success. We had someone in our mastermind the other day who had picked a couple of markets, and the one market that he had picked as his first market, he just wasn't getting realtors to send him stuff for whatever reason. And so he went ahead and adjusted, picked a different market, and all of a sudden stuff started coming in. So, and he's like, yeah, I think the market's picking me. So anyway, yeah, so go deep in that market, because that's really going to help you create the momentum so that we're rocking tomorrow on lead generation. And then once I teach you about doing financial analysis and how to calculate your offer, it will all be for that market, and then you have your backups. All right. Any last questions before we wrap for the day? All right. Okay, guys. Well, we will we'll be here again tomorrow, same time, same place. We're going to be talking about doing lead generation and just keep moving forward. If you came on today and you weren't here yesterday, you can go into the unit section. It's recorded. It's there for you to watch through. And if you're behind, please do not worry about it. It's crazy to do a 5-day challenge unless you have a lot of time on your hands to actually do everything. So don't worry about it. Just make sure that you're continuing to move forward, even if it's the thing from yesterday. Just learn, move forward, and we go from there. And Charmaine, is the webinar 30 minutes or 1 hour? There's no time frame. It's just however long the content is. So, and the questions. Anyway, but we are wrapping up for today because I don't think that we have any other questions unless I see anything pop up. But it will be in the units in probably an hour or so. And I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. Oh, one last question. For these properties, do you need credit and money down? Well, so Charmaine, we're not talking about any specific properties, just more just about generally investing in multifamily properties. So it depends on what your strategy is. You do not ever need to have credit and money down of your own, but there has to be credit and money down. So it doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be yours. When I first started in real estate 17 years ago, I didn't have either. I didn't have horrible credit, but I didn't have great credit. And I definitely did not have investing capital. So the way I got started was by partnering up with people who were, or doing private loans from people who were really interested in real estate, but they weren't going to go make the time investment like you guys are asking, or to make the investment in their education like you're asking. So, okay, no problem, Charmaine. So yeah, because this 5-day challenge isn't about any specific properties. It's really about helping you lay the foundation. But generally speaking, all properties are going to need to have some credit and some money down, but that does not mean it has to be yours. You have to be the one who's willing to do the work and broker the knowledge, and you can connect with people who don't know how to do it, but they have money and they want to do it, right? And you're like the perfect one to connect with them and help them invest by investing with you. So exactly. Well, no, not like the wholesale course. So let me differentiate real quick, because let me move this chat real quick. So the difference between, I guess I can stop sharing this. The difference between the wholesale course, I'm gonna pull the chat, there we go. The wholesaling in general is when you take a property and you take a buyer and you connect the two together. So for example, let's say I find a performing duplex, okay, or 10 units, whatever. And let's say I find somebody who they really want to have cash flow like right now. If I can go get that duplex or that 10 unit under contract, and I can connect with that buyer who really wants cash flow, but they don't know how to go research a market and talk to realtors. They don't know how to do anything that you're learning how to do. You can connect that buyer with that deal and make a wholesale fee. When I'm talking about you don't need money or credit of your own, what I mean is, let's say you want to go buy a property. You want to buy a property, you want to own it, you want to get cash flow. But if you don't have the credit and the cash to do it, you can connect with someone who does, and you both go in, you have a joint venture LLC, and you go and you own the property together. That's what I mean. So that's the difference. Wholesaling is it's almost like you're brokering, almost like you're brokering a deal. You're providing a service, like you're putting the deal together, you're doing all the due diligence and everything else. And you're in the wholesale course. If you haven't got to that part, you will. You're doing all the due diligence, you're putting together like really great investor packet, and then you're handing the deal over to a buyer who's going to close on it. All right, and then over here, this is if you're ready to actually buy. If you're not ready to buy and hold yet, then wholesaling is perfect. Like, stick to that, because you're going to learn so much that's going to prepare you for the buy and hold. maybe the mastermind explains it all from the beginning. No, well, so this is just the 5-day challenge just to help people get started. So anyway, but yeah, so Charmaine, with being in the wholesale, I'd say just keep doing that, because that's going to serve you to lay an amazing foundation. You can start making some money like now, get the ball rolling, and when you're ready to buy and hold, you are going to be prepared and ready with so much knowledge because of the way that I teach wholesaling. So anyway, I'm glad that you're here. Guys, have an amazing week. Oh, John, how do you get info on the mastermind? Just send me a message or send Jennifer a message and we can get you some information about it. And Charmaine, you're welcome. And for all of you, just grateful to be part of your journey. We'll see you tomorrow at noon to talk about lead generation, and just write down any questions that are coming up, and then you can ask questions during the Q&A and we'll get them answered for you, and just keep moving forward. Let this be a week of momentum. All right, guys, have a great day.